G'day Bomber fans, the trade period would have started by the time this video is out, and maybe, just maybe, Essendon have completed a deal already. Who knows? Not me, because it's Sunday when I'm recording this. So Essendon need to improve their draft hand, and today I'm going to try and explain a few ways how we can do that. It's hard to talk about the draft without confusing everyone, so hopefully I'm not horrible at this, but let's get into it. Okay, first up, I just want to quickly explain why the Bombers need to improve their draft hand, because obviously guys like Houston are available for the right price. First round draft pick would get the job done for him, pick 9 perhaps. So why are we interested in the draft instead of bringing in quality players for now? Because this draft is stacked. It is excellent. It's been labelled as a super draft for a reason. Clubs are delisting decent players just to free up list spots for this draft. You want to be taking 3 to 4 players in it, and luckily for us, we have the chance to take 2 in the first round. We obviously have pick 9, who we can use on anyone, but we also have an academy kid called Isaac Kako, who will likely be bidded on early. He's a top 15 pick in many eyes. So we not only need to keep pick 9 on our books to take a talented player before Kako, we also need to match a bid on Kako when it comes, and to match a bid, you need to give away draft picks to the AFL. So let's say a team bids on Kako at pick 15. We then give away our next picks in the draft until we've matched the same amount of value as pick 15. So we currently have pick 31 on our list. We need to add more to that range to get the same value as pick 15 or whenever a bid for Kako will come in. And then on top of that, we need a couple of extra later selections to be taking more players in the open draft. There are 3 things we need to do before this draft. We need to take a player before Kako, match a bid for Kako, and then be active later in the open draft, because it's a very deep draft this year. You want to be active early and late. This is the best chance to bring in A-grade youngsters before Tasmania enter the competition and muddle things up. So yes, Houston would be great, other players would be great, but attacking the draft is a no-brainer for me. Okay, so let's talk about ways we can improve our draft hand. The easiest way to bring in draft picks is by sending players out the other way. We currently have a few mature players potentially seeking trades. Jake Stringer and Jaden Laverty are clearly on the trade table. Dylan Shield is a tougher situation to read. I don't know what's happening there. GWS are interested apparently, but that is already potentially 3 players that are at least being talked about in the trade space. Maybe there are other names we're yet to hear about in this space as well. But we won't be trading heaps of players away. What we will hopefully do is offload 1, maybe 2 regular team members that'll give us some form of draft capital back. Jake Stringer is probably worth around, I'm going to say pick 40. That's a very loose and broad range. It could be higher, could be lower. Jaden Laverty wouldn't be much different, to be honest. I'd say they're both around the pick 45 range. In a draft this prominent, it's around that range. Dylan Shield's value is now shot. If talks for Parker around the 60 range, I wonder where Shield would be. But that gives you an idea. Let's say you trade Stringer and Laverty, get back 2 third rounders. It would already be enough to match a bid for Kako with 31 on our pick as well. So now we obviously want more capital as well to be using it in the open draft. We won't just be taking Kako and our other first round selection, but this gives you an idea as to how we should be approaching the trade period with the outgoing players. Something I want to add, let's say hypothetically Stringer is worth pick 40. Let's throw that out there. If we deal with GWS for Stringer, a team with a wide range of picks, we can say to the Giants, we will pay a chunk of Stringer's salary for the 2 years he is at your club, and in return, you give us a tiny bit extra in terms of draft capital. That is pick purchasing. It is a very common list management method. We are loaded in terms of salary cap space. The Giants are not. I fully expect if we deal with the Giants, we will be pick purchasing. We need good draft capital for now. GWS have pick 37. We could say, give us that and maybe even 55, and we'll take a big chunk of salary cap pressure off of you. And if we were to do that, obviously it's a hypothetical, but that deal alone would ensure we have the capital to match a bid on Kako if it comes after pick 10, I think, or maybe 11, early regardless. So it shows you how important trading away players is. We can even do the same with Laverty. If we think enough space for we have enough space for next year's salary, even if it bumps up by 5 or 6 selections, we can pick purchase there. That's a few hundred points of draft capital that can go towards Kako and give us more freedom to split picks and whatnot, which I'll get to in a second. But clearly, the easiest way to be bringing picks in is by sending players out the other way. I feel like that was already a confusing explanation, but it's going to get even worse because now we're going to talk about splitting picks. This is something that you would ideally want to be doing with more picks at your disposal already. Something you hear about a lot when clubs have academy players to match bids on is splitting picks. So Pretty much you take one pick, let's say pick 9 for example, because we have that, and this is just for the sake of the example. You trade away pick 9 and get 2 second rounders back in return. Now I don't think we're going to be trading away pick 9, but it's something the club would have definitely discussed. Even pick 31, trading that away and making it 2 picks in the 40 range. You might wonder why we would want to do this. Well, pick 31 is only going to be used as capital for that matched bid. We won't be taking a player with it. It's going to get eaten up in a Kako bid. Let's use Richmond as an example. They have picks 42 and 44, which together are of better value than pick 31, around 150 points better. But Richmond don't need points. They'll be getting heaps of draft picks in the door anyway through trades. They might not even need to use those 2 picks when all is said and done. They might rather take an earlier pick and part with those 2, get 1 better player in the draft rather than 2 lower down. We trade pick 31, get 42 and 44 in through the doors. We now have more capital at our disposal than we did before for a matched bid. Deal done there. And it's not that simple. We do actually need a pick in the 30s to be able to match a bid for Kako, because you need a selection within 20 of when the bid comes. I'm not going to talk about that because that complicates things more. But that is definitely something we could do to improve draft capital. Split picks. It's something all academy and father-son clubs will be doing this year in the draft. It's great to be in that situation because when you want points or capital, it's actually pretty easy to get them, because a lot of the time clubs not in the academy or father-son market will rather hire draft selections than points. So really a situation or example that I just showed you with Richmond is as good as a win-win for both clubs. We could be doing that with a bunch of different teams, splitting picks, trading away 1 pick with value to get 2 back in return. Alright, now something we're all but guaranteed to be doing in this year's draft is giving away draft capital for next year to improve our hand this year. This is always risky. You don't want to be doing too much of this. It's obviously how we ended up in the situation now with just 2 picks at our disposal. But something we're probably going to be doing at some stage, maybe early, is sending around a future 3rd or even a future 2nd to another club for capital in this year's draft. And doing this would give us more wiggle room to split picks, as I just spoke of before. We would need to hang on to a pick in the 30s to match a bid, as I said. But if we get another one through, we can get more capital later on. So let's say we give away a future 2nd. We can ask a club like a good example would be Richmond or Carlton or even GWS package that deal in the trade for Stringer. But let's use Carlton and Richmond as examples. You send across a future 2nd, which will probably be around the 30 range next year, and in return you get pick 32 if you're dealing with Richmond, or pick 34 if you're dealing with Carlton. Either of those, to be honest, sound good to me. Now, if you go head-to-head, you're probably at a loss because I think it's more likely our 2nd rounder next year is higher up the draft order than the pick we would receive from one of the teams I just spoke of there. But it gives you ready-made capital for the now in a better draft, and it gives the opposition more opportunities to attack the trade period next year, or even this year. Maybe Richmond throw away our future 2nd in a deal to lobby for higher picks when dealing with West Coast, or maybe Carlton use that future 2nd to get Houston in through the doors, along with the 1st round pick they will be using as well. Clubs will want future capital at all times, so there is definitely room for Essendon to be sending away future picks for current picks. I can almost guarantee you that this will happen. I think if any deal is to happen first for the Bombers, it is this, giving away a future pick to give us some wiggle room in the draft, and the second that we do this, add another pick in the 30s or 40s or 20s, wherever it is. The second we do that, it opens up more room and opportunities for us to split picks and improve a pick in return for a player trade. I think this happens soon, to be honest. And finally, moving up the draft order. I talked about splitting picks before. The last thing we could do is actually move up the draft order if we've built enough capital to match bids and be active later. You might wonder why we would need to do this, and really it's because of uncertainty with Isaac Kako when that bid will come. We currently have pick 9. If a club was to bid for Kako at pick 8, it would mean we lose pick 9 in matching the bid, which we do not want to do. We want to take 2 players in the 1st round. This is a possibility though. We could potentially trade up the order, even if it is by a few picks, just to trade with St Kilda and move up to pick 7 to avoid that. We could do this by giving them our pick 9 and maybe a 3rd rounder or something. It's not a horrible shout. Or on the night, if the bid was to come early, we simply match it, we lose pick 9 and then trade up using the capital we have built later on in the draft. So we match the bid and then overtrade with pick 30s and some futures to be active in the 1st round still. I think the club has to think about moving up the draft order now though, just in case a bid for Kako comes early. Although the options for this seem the least likely. It's hard to move up the order if you have nothing at your disposal. It becomes more likely if players leave early though. Alrighty, and that is that done. I think I may have butchered a few of those explanations. Hopefully I did an okay job, but those are some ways Essendon can improve their draft hand in the next week or two. Quite a few options. I think we see us complete a few of them. Let me know down below what you want to see us do. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and as always, go Bombers.